first page, those check dates. I actually had to go in and clear checks that were, I think, as far back as like 2016. It won't let you close out cycle 8 anymore if you have checks that are dated over a year. And now they start to just put warnings out there on cycles to let you know that you have an outstanding check that's over a year. So there are procedures to go through to either reissue those to the vendor, see if they got those. So, yes. So this is something that we'll just put in there every month, and that hopefully it starts to get a little better. And I'd like to get it to where it's zero, or at least, you know, there's something I'm able to explain. Sometimes if you void a check outside of the period where the check is written, it's got a throw a variance, but it's explainable, we know what it is, and it'll wash the next month. So, okay. And then the last document is just the board check register. So this is going to show you all of the checks that were written during the period. So again, this is just important for you guys to be able to review, so you can see, you know, the check amount, the vendors, that they were written to. And that way, if you have any questions when you get these, review them, or something looks like it's a strange vendor or something, or you want to know, verify what that was for, you can always, you know, probably with Dr. Barbary, or let me know. But you'll see on some of those, they are for individual invoices, so the check amount might look large, and you might think this may be something that had to come, you know, board approval, but it might be 4 or 5 different invoices. The system actually will just pull all of those in, so the check number you may see, it might be 6, the check number is the same, but it's just one, so. Okay. Any questions on those?
Any other questions, council service?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, you've seen the financial report, and you got the report from Ms. Reed. I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
Second.
The move properly second, we approve the financial report as presented. We ready for the question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it. Thank you. Next is special recognition.
All right, thank you. We're excited. This is our second month to really introduce our new awards. It's showing our stripes, and so we have some Silver Stripe awards here tonight. And I'll have Mr. Carlock help me with these.
Yes, ma'am.
You gonna announce it?
Yes, I will. All right, good afternoon. Board President. All right. Let's give ourselves a big round of applause. We're out of station road. It feels good to have some weight off your shoulders, and we all need to celebrate because everyone played a part in it. So with our recognition, we are recognizing those who are showing their stripes. And remember, stripes with our district stands for self-discipline, trustworthiness, respect, innovation, patience, empathy, and synergy. So our first group we're going to recognize are our students. So principals, if you are here and your students recognized, please come forward. We'll take a picture with you, superintendent, and student. Parents as well, thank you for coming out. Our first student is being recognized for presenting colors as a rifle bearer at our state board meeting. So we're recognizing Lyric Goldsmith. Our principals here, Ms. Thompson. All right. Our next person is being recognized for presenting the colors at the state board meeting, Angelica Whitmore. Okay. Our next person, Kamaya Murray. She was at the state board meeting, and she represented the colors as a rifle bearer. Special job, everybody can't hold a rifle. All right, so our next person, Xavier Sims, at the state board meeting with the color guard. Come on up, it takes coordination to hold that flag.
Let's be clear, Xavier made it very quick. He said, Ms. Harbury, when I looked at that site plan with that new school, I didn't see the ROTC building. He said, I want to make sure it's there. I said, it's there, I promise. Congratulations. Thank you so much.
Okay, our next person who represented the state board meeting, singing the national anthem.
Oh, wow.
Danny Johnson.
Danny. Singing. Yes, Danny did a good job.
All I can do is so I just marvel at anybody who can hold a tune. Okay, our next person, very big job, is the Pledge of Allegiance, Casey Givens.
What building? Which story?
James Matthews.
Ms. Matthews, Ms. Wright, and Casey as well.
Oh, proud.
And I'll say, Cortland also said the pledge with Casey, and she was here earlier and got her award. She just came by because she had to go dance tonight.
Oh, my goodness.
There you go. Come on in, Mom. Come on in. Thank you so much. Yes. Casey, you did a great job.
Thank you to our students for showing your stripes. I had one student saying, how long do I have to stay? This is till the last award is given out, then you'll have permission to leave. Okay, our next group showing their stripes are community members who want to recognize. Our first community member represents the United Way and is featured, United Way campaign featuring Bips, Markenzie Bell.
And so, the United Way is doing a commercial for our BIPS program, and Miss Bell's in our commercial, so get with her.
Come on up, Mr. Proud.
Just pull that down so they can see your beautiful smile. There you go.
We look this way as well.
Look at that proud mama.
Thank you so much.
Good job.
Okay, our next community member that we're gonna recognize, who is also one of our very own, used to be one of our very own, but we still claim him, Mr. Tabante Calhoun. We wanna recognize him for just being a part of an outstanding partnership we have. And being part of our first century after school program, playing a very good role. Since you don't have your parents, you want business to come up there. Proper end like that. All right. Now, this is next person. Oh, sorry, okay. This next person, a staff member that we're recognizing, we like to recognize our staff members and give our staff members flowers and honor where honor is due. This person, I would say, is one of the wheels of the district, who just keeps us going in the right direction. She's our front end alignment, keeps us straight in so many ways, whether it's getting coffee, whether it's making sure that our graduation gown is ironed, or making sure that we have our board packets.
That's all right.
And she hits me when I do wrong. This is the right thing today. We want to recognize Miss Pamela Irvin.
Well, I don't know where we would be right now without you, Miss Pam. I am serious.
We're speaking today.
Usually Miss Pam helps put these together. But, the truth is in our board meetings, we have gotten so far in so little time, and communication that Ms. Pound helps with that. She puts a lot of binders together so that our board is getting that. We work together very closely. She's the first person to take care of all the calls that we get to the office to make sure that we're trying, people are saying, you guys are being very transparent, you're doing a good job of getting back to people, you're doing a good job at communicating, and I can't do that without Ms. Pound telling me, Ms. Barbary, these people have called, these people have stopped by to see you, and so she helps keep me organized so that I can make sure that we are taking care of our community.
That's good. That's good.
That's all right, that's all right. All right, now we're gonna move to Personnel Policy Committee. Any updates?
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Hope everybody's doing well today. Just a few observations and updates on our personnel policy committee. We will be having elections at the building levels for PBC in the coming days, which will be prior to October 15th. There was a few changes. I think I misspoke at the last board meeting. I told you September. But with the change, it pushed it back to October. So we'll have that completed by October. We have a couple of things that are going to be pressing on our on the next committee's timeline, which one is going to be, getting the sick leave bank back up and running. That is something that several personnel of the district have been having concerns about. And so I've been having conversations with HR Director April Williams to discover what forms and procedures have been utilized in the past. And we're finding that since a lot of transitions have happened, and so we don't know. And so we're gonna have to reinvent the wheel on some things. And so we'll get that done as well to be able to get that to you guys as well as Superintendent Barbary. And then we also will be looking at compensation packages for the learners to be able to have a permanent salary schedule for our district. And we'll be working closely with Superintendent Barbary and her designees in the coming days to be able to iron out a complete compensation package so that we'll be able to present it to you guys as well. And that's all I have.
Have you discussed any changes in policies or revising your current policies?
Well, we have not, because we're trying to wait on the next policy committee. So we have to have elections, and so some people that may be on it now, that are on it now, may not necessarily be on it for the 23-24 school year. And that will happen in the coming days. Like I said, we have to have elections, and once that's taking place, then that committee will be able to, for sure, go through, look and say, hey, let's look at this, look at that, and so on and so forth.
Do you know historically, are those policies updated yearly or?
It just depends. For the most part, you have some policies that won't change. They're pretty standard. Of course, those that come from AS, Arkansas School Board Association, those model policies. And our district, we pretty much partner with those model policies, and we can tweak some things to fit our needs. And that's usually when we may say, okay, let's look at this and let's adjust this for Pine Bluff. But for the most part, our policy book is going to be standard. Again, if we see some issues that we can create policy for, then we'll work with the superintendent or her designee to be able to do that as well. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
All right, moving on to our agenda, superintendent's report.
Well, first, I would like to say, I wanted to make sure I explained to, and I know the board knows because it meant so much to us, but the first item on my agenda is this, information regarding board meetings going forward. And I'm so excited to say that this is, everybody said Friday, the state board meeting was history, but today is history. This is your first board meeting as a local board that has final decisions, so congratulations. Since 2018, that's been a while, so our district deserves that, and I'm excited to announce that to you all. And so for what that means to the community, in the past, we were granted a local board that came in January. They were elected, or they were appointed in December. We came in January. But since then, every meeting that we have, we've had to send our documents to the State Department, and the State Department, Secretary Oliva, according to law, previously it was Secretary Key, and now it's Secretary Oliva, would have to sign off on those documents and agree with what our board did. At this time, today is the day that they make the decisions and it goes down. So there will be a little bit of difference, Ms. Pam. Can you kind of explain what they will be seeing, what we'll see tonight that's gonna be different for them as far as signing and things?
Okay, so tonight, what will happen? I typically have Dr. Rice to sign the consent agenda and new business sheets. But we're doing away with those because that was a requirement when I was sending the board packet electronically to the State Department the next day after the board meeting. So going forward, in your board packets, which your new formatting your live items, I've done away with the consent agenda items, which consist of your adoption of minutes and financial, then your new business sheets of the district operations that would typically be there when you open your binder, those are gone. So what you'll see now with your format electronically is just those items that we are voting on. But for validating and saying that those actions did take place and those things happened, the board secretary will now be responsible for signing off on board minutes as a layer of verification. So after the board meetings, I'll come to you for you to sign the minutes that we've approved for tonight. Well, not tonight, but for September 12th special call and August 20th. So you'll always be signing prior board minutes, okay? So that's the format. So it's just gonna be easier and less paperwork that's being uploaded. And, we can just move forward the next day and I can just post it to the website and it's up. So I won't have that delay with letting the public know what's been approved, okay? So that's pretty much
Thank you.
what it is.
So, and something else for like, I've scheduled, because one of the questions that we're gonna be approving later in new business is, educational epiphany, the instructional support. And I've asked that Dr. Daniel Dickey Zoom with you all so that you could ask him questions about the proposal. And so I just got a text message that, he is available for the Zoom. I said around 7 o'clock, but they can wait just a few minutes while we finish out the board, but I wanted to let you know when we get to that section, I'll have to go up there and log into the Zoom, okay? So moving forward, I wanted to talk about our report. Something regarding the academic focus that with student support systems. What we're working very hard on is our district professional learning community process. It's something that we presented, that I presented at the state board meeting, but I would like for Ms. Williams, if you don't mind, to come up and click on the link just to kind of show some of the things that we've been doing with our district PLC process. And if you don't know, Ms. Williams is our executive director of school performance, and she's been working very closely with the building principals and our collaborative team meetings. Her and Ms. Rawls work carefully. So start with just the link on that one. Yes, that's going to show the one pager and the video that you created. So just some things that are highlighting our district right now. Oh, we can't hear it. I don't know, but there's some music to it, but it's okay. You can talk around if you want to.
You're gonna see a slide for each campus, and for each campus, highlighted in yellow, it gives some highlights of things that have been happening with the PLC process. All of the campuses are engaged in the PLC process, but everybody's in a different space. And all of us are making strides, and the pictures you see are actual live pictures from this year, from each campus, whether we were in a collaborative team meeting, we were in a classroom doing informal observation. That's a picture of Mr. Robertson. He is laughing because we're complimenting him that everybody in the building was using HQI materials, the high quality resources we have throughout the state list. And he just started laughing and threw his hands up. And so that was a big win for us when we were over at Pine Bluff Junior High. This is Pine Bluff High. They were actually on the ELACTM, and these are additional actions that we're actually working on right now, trying to improve instruction, and not only instruction for students, but professional capacity for our teachers.
Thank you, Ms. Williams. When you back out of that, I think the next thing is that, would you go ahead and click on our, beginning of year data? Yes, I need you to blow it up big enough. Ms. Rawls, would you mind stepping up with Ms. Williams to talk about our beginning of year data? And I want to make note that one of the law requirements of LEARNS is that at every board, or one of the new legislations that came is that every board meeting, the district board of directors is discussing academics and getting an information about student academics. And so right now, what I wanted to share with you all, with the help of Ms. Rawls, are our beginning of year student data. And I think she'd be able to talk through this a little bit more for you. Is there any way to make it any bigger? Just a little bit? That's it? Okay, all right. Well, you have a copy of this in your packet as well, but, go ahead, Ms. Rawls. Just at the beginning, what is this first chart?
So this first chart is the 1190 chart, for uppercase letter, and you got assessments in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, and, grade is proficient, y'all can also read it in support. So this year, our income is kindergarten, we have 29% of the students coming with proficient already in uppercase letters, 24% of them were closed, 47% of them were in support. In first grade, we have 79% of our students proficient in uppercase. When those students were in kindergarten, we only had 15% of them proficient. So from kindergarten to first grade, we have grown that students that are we have 16% of the kids that are closed, and 6% that need support. And I know that last year when those students was in kindergarten, 36% of those students were needing support, now only 60%. Our income second graders, 90% of those students are proficient. Last year, we had 80%, that's increased from 10%. 8% was closed, 2% are needing support, and 7% were needing support the previous year. And we tested 82% of our students at this time.
And that's just letter naming uppercase, but yes.
Yes.
Okay, and this is lower page. And then this is the other sounds, students being able to, call them sounds for those letters. So right now, incoming kindergartners, we only have 9% of the students proficient, 16% closed, and 75% of reading. The first grade, there were incoming kindergartners last year, 57% of them now are proficient, and we only had 10%. 30% of them are closed, and 13% are needing support, which was last year at 70%. Second grade, 81% proficient, 60% last year, 8% closed, 11% were in need of support, and 16% were in need of support. And 76% of those students. So our individuals are working, I see that, many times, the support we're giving, students, one-on-one teachers. And then this data here is our early literacy data, it is actually the came to the state assessment. Kindergarten, decon kindergarten is right now are 30% of those students were proficient when they took the start, the early literacy, start. First grade, this right here shows you overall, those, first graders, when they were in kindergarten in the spring, and when they were in kindergarten in the fall, and where they are now. We had a slight drop. It was 36.1% of them were, proficient in the fall of last year, 34.3 when we ended, and they're at 29%. And that's first grade. Overall for the district, on the STAR reading assessment, in the spring of last year, we were at 9.9%. In the fall of this year, we're at 13.8% student. 4%. That is 12.8%, we finished the year at 12.8%, now we're at 15.9%, that is an increase. Sixth graders ended the year at 8.5, we're at 16.5%.
I'm gonna pause you real quick, Mr. Ross, because I will say, those were end of year assessments for the start. And so we realized that our students, actually, their percentage decreased from middle of year last year to end of year. And some of the things that we talked about was that because we had so many assessments taking place, they were taking the summative assessment and this assessment, why did they not perform as well as they did at the end of year versus the middle of the year? So what I really want us to have this data today so that you can see, okay, when we take this assessment again at mid-year, where have we grown or if we've grown or not grown, things like that, that's what I want you to be paying attention to. And then where are we at the end? Because what we don't wanna do is end the year, this year, poorly like we ended the year last year. Does that make sense? And so I want us to be paying attention to that. Now, this is just one piece of data. We have several pieces of data, but this is the one that we have right now that we did beginning of year. But if you also notice, our 7th through 12th grade, we have not tested all those students yet. When does the testing window close, Ms. Ross? This Friday. So we're still testing 7 through 12. And so we don't have, the data that you have right now is not, it's only comparable to how many students we've tested so far. We haven't tested all of our kids. But I wanted you guys to have this so that we can begin those questions next month, where we'll bring more data to you next month about interventions and things like that. But this will be something that you can start asking, what data do you want us to bring to you each month so that we can show you what things are going on and how that's working, okay? Do y'all have that? I think
And
that's
it may have increased, sorry, it shows you where we started, where we ended last year, and where we are now. And what I can say is, across the board, we increased in every grade that was starting up this year. So,
good.
Very
Thank you,
good.
Mr. Ross. Okay, students, you stay there. I want you to. So I also included the district support plan, that link there. It's something that we talked about last month, and I want to revisit every month. So what we've added to the plan this month is that beginning of year assessment data. So that's been added to the plan. We also had a meeting with the state because of our numbers, as far as the students that are in need of support, it's required that we meet monthly with the state to talk about our district support plan. And we had a great report to be able to share with them. And so Ms. Williams, our district level team is working very hard. So what you see in your packet is the PLS, one of the things that you see is the Pine Bluff School District PLC expectations. If you click on that, and you won't have it up there, but it's the PLC at a glance, and it's a document that Ms. Williams and our district team created to talk about what are our expectations as a district and how are we gonna function as a professional learning community. And so that document that you have in front of you talks about the 4 pillar questions that we're asking, the cycle that we're constantly going through, and how we're meeting with collaborative teams as far as the expectation for that. So my expectation as a board is for you guys to know the terminology, to understand what this means and what your teachers are doing and what data we're looking at kids. So that beginning of the year data is something that they're looking at, but what we're gonna move closer to is what we call common formative assessments. So we're providing information and working on that as well. So one of the things in your packet that I wanted you to be aware of is our district leadership team, along with Dr. Rice, when we're participating in a professional learning community cohort called Leading PLCs District-Wide. And so what I sent to you, what I included in your packet was chapter 1 of the PLC workbook that we're working through. And chapter 1 is about how the school board and the superintendent, how the professional learning community has to start at the top, and what the school board team and superintendent team can do and start asking and work through, so that when we come to these meetings and we hear about the professional learning community, how have we budgeted money, how would we work with our teachers, those are questions that the board will want to continue to support so that we are working through those professional learning communities. And so I've shared with you chapter 1, and if you guys want to have an opportunity to read over it and have questions, that's something that we can discuss, next board meeting as well. Thank you, Ms. Williams. So, again, with the academic, focus, I'm gonna move to human capital, just so that you know, we're still seeking special education teachers. We haven't filled all those roles, so that's something that we need. I hear we have some retired ones in the room, so if they want to help out, that'd be great too. But, we are utilizing some of our retired teachers that are still here helping support our special needs population. But right now, what I also have is, as for professional learning support, I brought to you last month, Dr. Danielle Dickey's, support for using Educational Epiphany. And we tabled that because we needed just more information, so I've asked that he can be here tonight and, on the Zoom for you. And so, I don't know, Mr. Senator Prager needs some help. Can he hear us? Can you guys on the Zoom hear us? Can we hear them? Can you make it to where it's on, Dr. Dickey? Oh, can they, Ryan, can you hear us?
He's muted.
I feel like he would be nodding yes. Oh, he can. There we go. We can. Wonderful. So what we have is, who you see now is Mr. Ryan Burgess. He's part of our, Office of Coordinated Support Services support. He supports our building principals, especially at the secondary level. He was in the district last year supporting principals, and he also supports at the secondary level. And so though, I asked him to be a part of this because he has actually worked in a school that utilized Dr. Dickey as a support as well in his things. But I'm gonna turn it over to, you, Dr. Dickey. Maybe what do you? Thank you.
Everybody, board chair, board members, chair Marguerite, community members. And I'm joined by Richard Ford, who's our chief marketing officer. So, I'm in Arizona, apologize for the beautiful mountain, but working with a group of school districts here in Arizona, consistent with the proposal that we put forth by Bluff, the largest school district, Mesa, here in Arizona, and two additional school districts, one of which, whose data I was talking to you about in my conversation with you today. And so what we do as an organization is help school districts to reverse performance trends. And you are aware of
Thank you. I have one.
Yes, sir.
With all of your programs, initiatives as it relates to those learning communities, how do you incorporate that within teachers and administrators' already busy schedule?
Yes, sir. So we go into your already existing structures so that we don't overwhelm teachers or administrators because, it's already difficult enough to be a teacher and a school leader in this country. And so if there are previously scheduled structured opportunities for building level leaders to impact teachers through professional learning communities, their planning time, we go into that. And so I would, members of my team, we would show and participate in those PLCs so that we wouldn't have to require teachers to come early or stay late.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I know that we, just purchased some new, literacy curriculum, 95% group. And we have on our agenda tonight to get some, I guess, some professional development in this curriculum, which includes some instructional strategies for the curriculum. How does your, model, I guess, compare or contrast or, complement what they're gonna be learning here, because it's all new and I didn't want to, I wanna make sure we're not gonna overload our teachers or give them too much to process at one time.
Hang on, Dr. Dickey, let me address that first. So the 95% group is for elementary. Now the parts of 95% group that is for secondary would be interventions only. So we have intervention materials using the 95% group, and that coaching for those interventions are for, that the coaching that's provided for secondary teachers is because of interventions, to use, how to use that actual intervention curriculum for secondary. Now, Dr. Dickey's program is only for 7 through 12. So our core instruction is 7 to 12, we use My Perspectives, which is the actual, that's just the curriculum that they use as a curriculum resource. Again, his will be strategy, so now I'll let you address that. But as far as the 95% group, that coaching and support is core coaching for K-5, and then anything above that is for intervention coaching.
Okay, so, cause I did see, high school, 95% group stuff. And I did see where, it has some kind of the same kind of materials, I suppose, that you're proposing. Does your proposal, you can opt to take the materials or not take the materials, or how does that work? Cause they're gonna have materials for the 95% group that look similar to materials that you're proposing, or how do they coordinate with each other, I suppose?
Yes, sir. So if I can hear you correctly, Superintendent Margaret, I can hear you a lot better than you, Madam Board Member. So I believe I heard your question, so let me repeat it. How do the resources that we are currently procured complement this approach to teaching? Now, is that the question?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so what we don't do is encourage school districts to throw out the, baby with the bathwater. And so one of the things that we can do is to strengthen your teachers' understanding of the curriculum that they have. Here's the problem, is I get to see, 40 plus days, teaching and learning 40 plus days. When I was a classroom teacher, I could see in a narrow way, I only saw what's happening in my classroom. When I was a principal, I could only see my building, and
Have you done that with, a 95% group curriculum as well, you know, some of your other schools?
I can't hear you, ma'am.
I'll repeat the question. She asked if you've done that with 95% group, and I don't know your answer to that, but I will pause and say the 95% group material that will be used are things like phonological chip kits that they move in an intervention group. It's the terminology of the 6 syllable types. I'm sorry, I was trying to think, it's the 6 syllable types. So you have a closed syllable, open syllable. That's just, those resources that come with 95% are specific to just the curriculum and how to use that curriculum. The resources that Dr. Dickey provides are different, and I'll let you explain how your resources are different than that of the 95%. But again, the 95% is not gonna be utilized in a tier one classroom. His materials are used in a tier 1 in all subject areas, including science, history, ELA, math. And so I'll pause there. But she wants to know, have you used your curriculum or your support with a 95% group curriculum? That was her question.
Yes, the answer to that question is yes. Yes, ma'am. So I'll tell you how these resources complement one another. So let's say, in the state of Arkansas, in 9th grade, children have to analyze U.S. civil documents, historical and literary significance, the focus on themes, purposes, and rhetorical features. To the average teacher in America, that means nothing to them. Don't worry, little. And so you might have a curriculum resource that's designed teachers to pull from to teach it. I'm gonna get ahead of your instructor to make sure that this understand. I'm not a teacher, we're gonna teach them. I'm gonna get ahead of your instruction in your PBSD to make sure that teachers understand what that means. So when they pick up your district Bible curriculum, they can use it like an expert and help children get to proficiency and beyond. In mathematics, your children have to complete function tables with inputs and outputs. That doesn't mean that every teacher who teaches mathematics and Bluff understands inputs and outputs. I'm going to teach them to understand it, so when they pick it up, your district curriculum, you'll teach it like an expert. And so because there are 2 different classrooms who have varying degrees of proficiency, the teacher has to be expert enough, and I bet that they'll find people that are ready to learn, and they're ready to serve kids. And they're energized about this body of work. But they don't just have to teach kids to complete the function table. According to the state of Arkansas, you teach them to complete the function table to rapidly describe the relationship between the dependent and the independent variable. And if the relationship between the x and the y is proportional, they're going to graph and describe something that is linear versus non-linear. And I help your teachers get ahead of what they're teaching before they teach it, so they understand like an expert, so they can teach the kids who come through the door already with conceptual understanding, and they can encourage the children who are proficient and be pushed into the advanced level status, and the teachers can pull kids up on a trajectory of their performance. So I'm going to teach teachers what people think we all know, because we teach stuff we don't know yet. And that's not an indictment of teachers. It is an opportunity for professional growth standard, international professional learning opportunities for teachers.
Any other questions?
Yes, yes, I have one. I'm a parent first, and everything that I'm hearing sounds great. But one thing that going to parent-teacher conferences and things like that I hear teachers say, this has been recent. You have kids that are proficient, close, in need of support, but they're trying to group these kids according to where they fall. So one of the things that I've heard, from elementary school, even middle school, is, you have these group of kids that are close to being proficient, but then you have to try to basically work around those that are in need of support. And everybody that's in need of support, based off of what I'm getting from teachers, is not really trying to get to the next step. So it's like distractions, basically is what I'm saying. So I've gotten a lot of that where it's like I got kids that's trying to learn, but I'm having to stop to go over here and deal with this. So with all of this that we have going on, is there a solution to that issue?
Dr. Dickey.
Whoever has the answer.
I think, well, as far as the solution, what the purpose of what Dr. Dickey, what we're hoping to utilize Dr. Dickey for is to improve tier 1 instruction, to ensure that no matter where the student falls, whether it's high achieving, middle achieving, low achieving, that the tier 1 instruction is still there so that they're hearing it and the teacher knows how to present that. And then those students that are not receiving it would receive tier 2 instruction from that same teacher, but in a different method after tier 1 is applied. And then if there needs to be further instruction, then we put them in a specific intervention, which would be maybe tier 3 or later a different type of intervention. And so that's what our win time is going to be utilized for, which is what that's what 95% will be used for at the secondary level for sure. But it's the improvement of our teacher quality as well, to make sure that they know that there is that tier 1 and how to give that tier 1 and then be able to come back and provide tier 2. And so the common language is what we're getting from Dr. Dickey for sure. But Dr. Dickey, you want to add?
Yes, sir. And your comments, sir, are astute as well. And so, high love, and I hesitate to speak about high love as if I'm an expert on high love. I've only been in high love 5 times in my lifetime. Okay, but I know public education, I know schools, I know children, I know teachers, I know literacy, right? I know school improvement. Sir, your RTI pyramid as a district is upside down. Which means what? You know what that means, sir? It means that all of your kids are in the same tier 1 situation. Which means what? 95% of your population is in need of intensive support. Which means what? You don't have an intervention issue. You have a tier 1 issue. What's tier 1? It means what do children get every moment of every day of every school day for 180 days. That's your issue. Your issue is not pulling out kids, because all of your kids get pulled out because of their proficiency on integrating the course, criterion reference, and non-reference assessments. All of them are in the same flow for the most part. Now, that doesn't mean they don't have capacity, because I came from abstract comedy, but I had capacity. I slept on the floor in my grandmother's living room because my mother had adult issues, and I could see the ground through the floor, but I had capacity. And so my job is to help you to make sure that children have access to instruction of the highest quality so they can live up to their capacity. And so what's happening in school districts across the country, and I'm only speaking from time to from what I understand, from looking at your data and talking to kids and talking to teachers in your district, you can't intervention your way to proficiency. You got to tier 1 your way to proficiency, which means what's happening for every kid in every home in every seat. There's got to be something common that's happening for kids in the English classroom, in the social classroom, in the math classroom, in the art classroom, in the phys classroom. That's a very connected to these practices. What you said, sir, is perfect. So I'm going to understand gravitational responsibility, which means what? So when kids come into my classroom and I'm trying to teach them to multiply fractions, you then understand what a fraction is first. Because folks are having kids in this country do math work associated with fractions. Nobody checks to see if kids can tell. They know that a fraction is a part of the whole relationship. It's not a bi-ratio. That's first. Because then I'm going to teach kids and they already understand the concept. So then that would be the teacher to give the kid who already understands some enrichment for understanding to the kids who are on a trajectory of underperformance. I want to teach everybody in the organization. I go from home group to small group to flexible groups to one-on-one work with kids to make sure that no kid is left behind academically. It's going to take a long time. You're going to get the data, you're going to get gains just like everybody else in the country. I guarantee you. While other school districts go backward in this country, these part of school districts is going forward and breaking records.
Any other questions from board members?
Thank you, Dr. Dickey. I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, everybody. Hope to see you guys in person.
Okay, so we skipped ahead just a little bit, but I don't want to, we can get back to new business, but that's still part of my report because I wanted to talk about that professional support for human capital. The next item on my just superintendent's report is to talk about student support. We are beginning our meetings regarding our student intervention teams. This is taking place at every campus. This is where we'll be looking at that data to see what types of interventions need to take place, whether it be behavior or academic. The other thing I wanted to bring to your attention is the co-op, our educational co-op has hired a behavior specialist. We don't have a specific behavior specialist for the district. And so as the cooperative service, we have a consortium now to where the other districts in our co-op can utilize and glean on the support of the behavior specialist. We just met this person at our principals meeting last month, or this month in September. So I look to report more on how we're using that support from the co-op. We were talking about as far as our stripes, I think part of our collaborative team meetings at every building, the teachers are now teaching these words in collaborative, our collaborative teams have talked about this and throughout their intervention time. Our teachers are creating that common language of the definition of self-discipline, the definition of trustworthiness, respect, innovation, patience, empathy, and synergy. And so that for moving forward, what we should be able to hear from our students is the understanding of this, so that the more we talk about it, the more we share with them, the more we can make sure that we're having that same common language regarding student behavior and teacher behavior. Next on my report is about stakeholder and community and family engagement. I just wanted to say thank you to our community for coming out and all the support that we were given during the state board meeting. I appreciate that. I appreciate the board. Every one of you took time out of your day to be there, and that was important. We showed a great presence at the state board meeting. We are going to have the MLK Nonviolence Youth Summit this week. That's taking place at Pine Bluff High on Thursday. We have some guest speakers here, a lot of things going on Thursday. And then we have an upcoming Pine Bluff High, they're calling it the Parent Block Party. That's going to be in October. They're still in the planning phase of that, but I know that there's some things that you guys can be looking for as far as information coming out about the Parent Block Party. District operations and fiscal governance. We will approve the annual budget. That will be at a work session. We had our work session today, and then I'll be at a special board meeting this Wednesday. The other thing that you'll see on the agenda, I just want to talk about, we have to decide, we have to choose a board dispersing officer. You have that policy. I provided that policy for you in your packet. What that is you guys never had that as a board, because the board that was dispersing it was Secretary Leva. He's the one that signed off on things. And so now that we have local board control, the board dispersing officer, along with the superintendent, shall be responsible for signing manually or by facsimile all warrants and checks. And so this would be something that you guys would nominate and choose tonight, so that we can get that taken care of at the bank. So from now on, when the teacher's checks go out, or when we have checks go out, it'll have a board dispersing officer signature and the superintendent's signature. The other thing that I wanted to make sure we were updating everyone, at the October board meeting, what you would expect is that you guys will draw for lots, meaning we will have someone, like Dr. Rice had mentioned, we presented this, we're looking to have a city official come, and so that can be very formal. We will have minutes where there will be the lot for the November 24 election, a lot for November 25, a lot for November 26, 2 lots for November 27, and 2 lots for November 28. And that will take place at the October board meeting, and so everyone will know as far as governance. As far as facilities and transportation, I included in your board packets the Pine Bluff High building update. What we have right now from our architect is a pretty good floor plan of the first floor and a floor plan of the second floor. And this floor plan is made based on the POR and then the additional things that we said we wanted. And with that, what I mean is, it's just labeled classrooms. So the next step, after having those things done, the next step that we'll do now is I'm gonna get with the high school principal, and we will get our teacher committee together and start talking about how many sections we want for ELA, how many sections we need for science, and see, we'll also have a committee with our athletics regarding the arena. We have a fine arts section that we'll have. So we'll get those committees together and start getting ideas. And so those committees will meet with the architect and say, hey, this is the input we want to have. That doesn't mean that is going to have to happen. It still has to go within the finances of what we'll have. But it's to say, if I want what kind of whiteboards or Promethean boards? What are specific things we wanna make sure we have in our science labs? What are some specific things that we know we need across the campus for fine arts and CTE? And so those committees are gonna start coming together. And with the help of our CTE committee that Ms. Galache has been, meeting with, I believe with the idea of the schools of different, that's gonna be part of that conversation. If we had like a school of business and a school of things, so that's something that we'll have as part of that committee. As far as HVAC updates, I forgot to bring my piece of paper with me. However, Performance Services has, worked through this, and I had it right there on my desk, Mr. Gregg, but is there anything specific, are we on target with our HVAC updates? And I think all we're missing are just the big items that we knew we would be missing right now, correct? And so,
They anticipate, some of the entire project, they're hoping by, December, of 23 to have everything completed, and they'll be ready to start on Southwood, beginning in the summer.
in the summer?
Yeah.
Okay.
They're doing a lot of prep work for Southwood all through the year, but actually getting in and, removing and putting in units, yes, ma'am.
And right now, we have not had any disruptions of students moving or learning at this time, correct? That's, we've been able to work through that. They've been able to work after hours to get that done. The master plan, I've included that in your packet, just the highlighted information. That was the facility updates, or what you see in your packet was what was in the master plan updates in the past. And this is not something that I was involved in, but these were items that said that needed to be done. And of those things, I included just kind of a highlighted chart I sent it last month and said, you know, I'm gonna look at that. So the yellow things were things that we already have in progress. The things that I highlighted in orange, I think were stopped. Let's go back and look, because I didn't print that out. But I wanted to know some of the things that, oh, there we go. The orange needed to be done, the pink we deleted because at this time we're not doing it, and the greens are things that we're already gonna be complete. And so I wanna know your thoughts on, one of the things that was in the master plan was the restrooms at McFadden. And we know we need to update the restrooms at McFadden because they're poor. However, we know we're also going to be building a new arena. So I want you to think about, is that something that we wanna keep on our master plan? Because it's going to be a cost to update those restrooms, and I don't know how long we would utilize them after doing that. And so I still want feedback from you regarding the master plan, that's on there. Did anybody have an opportunity to look at that?
Yes. And I know it may be too early to answer the question, I guess, because we don't know what the new high school is gonna look like on the site plan just yet. But are we still gonna be able to have the students at Conroe High School with the site plan, or how's that gonna work?
Currently, the surveyor is working on that to let us know. I know that, I spoke with the architect, and we had 3 bids for a survey, to have a surveyor. Of the 3 bids, we had a local bidder, and so I know, and I had his name, I'll have to say, but the surveyor is local, and so we're expecting to have the actual survey done, and once that survey's done, then I think we can make sure that we know exactly how the site plan's gonna look. Thank you, that's good. But I will have a report for you in October, as far as that goes, for sure.
Is there, that's good, possible restroom?
No, that was never, well, if it was, I don't have it with me, but I know at one time, they were talking about in the lobby creating an ADA, restroom right there on the left side of the lobby. Now, what has been done to the restrooms are the painting of the doors, the changing out of the toilets. That was done previously, but what hasn't been done is actually making it ADA and updating it. And so to do that, they would have had to put it in the lobby. There's no way to make it ADA down under there
You talking about doing construction?
No, well, during construction, yes, where we can play our home games during construction. What are the options available to us?
Again, as Dr. Barbary said, we have, the high school at, at Galloway. We are, going, depending on, Dr. Barbary's direction, Mr. Franklin and I are scheduled to tour, the facilities at Rope, to get a look at where they are in the, the gymnasium to see if that is a possibility.
I know that the gym at Dalloway, the one I'm referencing is the one that's on Dalloway Road, not the one on Fluker. We have one on Fluker as well, we're at the Ninth Grade Academy, but the one on Dalloway Road has a new, it has a new floor. The floor is new, but I'm not sure about just how many it would hold as far as the games and things like that. That's something we'd have to look into.
Forgive me for thinking a little bit larger than that, but is it possible that the city could help with this Garnish Road and make
That's a great question. That's something, and I know we've had a lot of support with Mayor Washington, so that's something that I do not feel, I feel like I could ask her and talk to her about it. That's something that we could look into.
That we're located.
I just don't know if I doubt very seriously if they do it at no cost. I believe it would still have a cost, so that's something that we'd have to, because they'd have to put the floor down and things like that, you know.
Why wouldn't they do it at no cost? I'm just
Yeah.
putting it out there.
I mean, I'll ask.
All the time, look, good to be, just lost it. Why wouldn't they do it at no cost? Private high school is on the 18th. Public high school is in this town. What they're doing is otherwise. I don't call it penalty delegated.
It would just, I do not feel bad for asking, and I think she would absolutely entertain some conversation about that.
Love to hear what they have to say. Be a part of this process.
That's good. We can reach out. As far as, so the master plan, I'm meeting tomorrow with, Chad Davidson, our facility support person. Now, the master plan actually it's not voted on and turned in until February. And so that's something that I will be bringing back to you, in October. But before the October board meeting, I'd like for you to make sure you look over that list and make sure anything that's upcoming, if it's something you want to still keep on the list, to keep in the master plan.
I think there are some questions that I would have, would like to have answered before we can make a decision on something.
Okay.
And one of those, of course, is that survey, what are we gonna, how are we gonna have to accommodate our kids, for school next year? And where would we move them to? Because wherever we move them to next year, we need to make sure it's getting ready for next year.
Right.
And so, resource wise, in terms of allocating resources, I think it's really prioritize what we want to do.
I completely agree with you, and those are conversations we're having. That's one of the reasons why, Mr. Franklin and Mr. Gregg are really looking at Jack Roby. It's also another reason why I'm pushing the state to get that inspection so that we can have that done before. So, yep, very good. Yeah, well, because we're not gonna put a new roof yet on that, even if we were gonna do it for a year or whatever we're going to do. But we need to see if we can get it and it's still be something. So the next thing on my bulleted list is just our bus update. We're still waiting on our buses. We were expecting them in September. Now we've called the Central State and they're now saying October, so we still don't have our buses yet, but we're waiting to get them as soon as we can. I don't know what the holdup is, other than everything else is going backward, but we've checked on that. And so that's my report, which I hoped to have talked about most of the things that we're gonna go through. I wanted to say one other thing that I didn't put in the report that would have been under, governance is the upcoming school board trainings. And so I overbooked myself, and I just want you to know that. So September 28th, I have that Ms. Galache and Mr. Whitmore are going to Hot Springs for the ASBA. That's this Thursday, the ASBA Fall Training in Hot Springs, and I was planning to go with you. However, that's our MLK Youth Summit, and I didn't realize that it was on the same day. So I wanted to make sure that you guys knew that that's this Thursday, and Ms. Pam has registered you for going. I wanna make sure you guys are still going. If so, that's good. I think I might can, possibly go some of the day, and then make sure I make the youth as well, so I'm working on that. The next thing on for PD, or for professional learning for our board would be some training. They have the regional meetings, and so our regional meeting really would be the Sheridan meeting. However, the Sheridan meeting is on October 23rd, which is our next regular board meeting. So I didn't want to, so the next closest regional meeting would be Stuttgart, and so it's at night, and it's just some training through Arkansas School Boards Association. So I want you to check your calendar if you wanna go the afternoon, or the evening of October 9th in Stuttgart. That would be some training, and I just need you to let me know. Send me an email, Miss Urban, and I can get everybody registered who wants to go. And then the last one on there that I really would like to encourage you guys to look at your calendar about would be the December annual conference in Little Rock. It is something that I am familiar with attending with with my school boards in the past. It's a 2-day training, and it's got breakout sessions, keynote speakers, usually very beneficial training, and so that's the 6th, 7th, and 8th. And one day is usually a half day. But I realized that it would require some of you to take off work and things like that. But I want you to check your calendars and see if that's something. I know Dr. Rice, I've already got Dr. Rice registered. And also, Dr. Rice, if you wanted to add, I think we were gonna try to, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We're also gonna take our story on the road. You know, we try to sign up and start talking about the magnificent journey of the Pine School District, from state control, limited authority school board, back to local control, full authority school board, and a $65 million millage. And so we wanna be the model for school districts going forward. That's gonna be our theme. They talk about books and movies being made about our process. That is true, and we wanna get out in front of that, and that's what we plan to do. You know, to start being those district level leaders. Superintendent Barbara and I, any other board members that want to participate. But again, we wanna push that story, because I don't know any other school district that has done that in the time frame we've done it. It's a testament to our superintendent, testament to our community, testament to our board, a testament to the work we've done. So I'm excited about attending that meeting as well.
And so y'all just send us an email, let us know if you wanna attend, and we'll get you registered for that as well. And that's in Little Rock. Yes, sir. You're good, you wanna do the night? I'll write you down. Good, thank you. I will, I'll send you a text.
Dr. Barbara, that might be virtual also. Normally, they do it virtual, the on-site or virtual.
The regional meeting?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I'll look and check.
Great, thank you.
You said it might be, so I'll check and see that as well. And so that's all of my report that I have, which leads us into new business. And so, again, some of the new business I've discussed, so if we have, yeah, we can go from there.
Let me ask the board, would you want a 5-6 minute break, or you just want to keep on? Let's take a 5-6 minute break. There's no objection. I hear what you got. 5-6 minute break, we'll come back and knock out. All right. Thank you all for hanging with us. All right, now moving into our new business. Assistant Robert.
So at this time, you all need to have an election of a board dispersing officer. And I will say that in my previous district, my board dispersing officer was my board president, but it doesn't matter. It's what's ever elected. So you guys will nominate and elect the board dispersing officer.
I nominate Ricky Whitmore.
Do you accept that nomination? Okay. Are there any other nominations from the floor? Second? Move to proper second, the nomination cease, ready for question, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no, ayes have it. Since there are no more candidates, can we go ahead and accept Director Whitmore as the dispersing officer by acclamation? Thank you very much, thank you for serving in that capacity. All right?
So the next thing that you will see on your, on your agenda for new business is a resolution for updating signers on all district bank accounts. So now that we have a board dispersing officer, we need to have the resolution that, Jennifer Barbary, superintendent, the dispersing officer be, also be added to the signer. And I just noticed we can also choose an alternate dispersing officer if he's not available to sign. We didn't do that, so if you want to, our policy states that we can choose an alternate, and if we're gonna choose an alternate, let's do that first, and then do the resolution to authorize all those as signers. So I forgot to say that earlier, you can choose an alternate.
How many signers do we need? So will my name be removed?
No, you won't sign checks, or anything like that, but now as board actually it'll be the secretary that signs things now. So
Okay.
Ms. Calhoun would be the signer on like the minutes and things like that we do, that you adopt the minutes. This is just as board president, you still have, sometimes you would still have to show approval for certain things. And so this is just a resolution that will be signed off on by all three of us, that we would give the bank saying, these are our dispersing officers.
Okay.
Or these are our signers, which would be the superintendent, the dispersing officer, and then an alternate one if needed. But like on the bank and everything, it's just a two-signer.
Okay. So will Director Whitmore's name be added to this list, so it'll be 4 instead of 3?
No, this is just approval of the resolution.
Okay. All right. At this time, I seek a motion to approve the resolution let's see, order district bank account, authorized signers and access.
And so the signers would be Superintendent Jennifer Barbary and dispersing officer Ricky Whitmore.
Move to proper segment, that we approve the district banking accounts, authorized signers and access, Dr. Jennifer Barbary and dispersing officer, Director Whitmore. All right, ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it.
So the next item on your agenda is approval of policy 1.19, and it's an update. So and that was included in your packet, and so this was something that we had discussed in our work session. Currently, our policy at 1.19 says the length of a board member term is 3 years. And so based on our proposal and what we discussed and with the state board and what we discussed in our work session with that, we would look to adjust our policy to be a 5-year term instead of a 3-year term. And that is something that's consistent with the school boards within our area as well. And that's also part of the proposal that you all presented, that Dr. Rice presented with all of y'all's support at the state board meeting. So it would just be an update to that policy.
All right, this time we're seeking a motion to approve the update to the policy for board member length terms and holdovers from 3 years to 5 years.
Second.
Been moved by the second. Are we ready for question? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it.
The next item on your agenda is the invoice for the election. We have the special election. And so we specifically asked for an itemized election expense, and we asked for it before the election happened, and it was still estimated because they still had to decide on poll workers and everything like that. But once that came in, this is what the actual cost of the election was, which the overall cost was less than the original estimate. We were told it was gonna cost us around $75,000 because we had so many polling sites. So this was what was the election cost.
All right, I seek a motion to approve the election cost of $52,547.28 from the Jefferson County Board of Election Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
And moving properly second, ready for question? Yes.
Now, does that cost include just, if one person is running, say it's really in one area, it should be all votes?
No, because it was to represent the entire district. We had to represent the entire district for the millage cost. And it was a special election for the millage campaign. And so, because it had to be opened in every zone and every area of our district.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions from Director? All right, moving properly second. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it.
The next item on your agenda is the approval of Pamela Psychological Associates contract for the 23-24 school year. And this came in a little bit later to you all because originally our educational co-op was trying to see if there was going to be, they could hire a psychological examiner that we could use as part of a consortium so that it wouldn't just be at district cost. And the co-op did not fill that position for a psych examiner. And so the psych examiner is someone that we utilize for our students that would need the full psychological battery or a partial battery, depending on recommendations for special services and costs of that nature. And so this is the contract that we've used Pamela Psychological Associations in the past. Or associates, in the past, and so I'm asking that we continue that contract. And it's not a full contract, it just means that when we test a student in these areas, this is the cost that we would pay per area, per student. So we don't have like an overall cost, it's just however many students we need to test.
All right, at this time, I'd like to ask for a motion to approve the Pamela Psychological Association's contract. Moving properly second, I'm ready for question.
Question. So I'm looking at page 2 and it says that agency will provide complete psychoeducational evaluations upon request, which will include, so all of these happen at one time? Is it when you send one over, they get all 13 of these tests?
Well, and first, the person comes to our campus and tests them, so they would come to the student, that's one. And then, okay, I'm wrong, I'm gonna let Ms. Boyce address that.
You're like, they're time, but they don't do all the
Right, they do whatever we ask for based on what their need is. Yeah,
All right.
I'm sorry, well, you tell me no, I thought, okay, so, yeah. So we wouldn't ask, I mean, it would just depend, all 13 of those may be what they would consider a full battery, but we don't always have to have all those.
Also, I noticed, on your list of tests, they mentioned something about preschool evaluation. Is that what we're doing through the co-op? Do they do the same type of, for the disability assessments or something that you approved last month? Something about the preschool. Services.
So last month, what we approved was our partnership with Arkansas River Educational Co-op with the early childhood supports. And so with that is the, Ms. Boyce, I'm gonna make sure I'm correct, that's birth to 5, correct?
Right.
And so what are we referencing regarding, I don't know what you're meaning preschool, I'm looking for it.
It's just on their fee list, so we don't send preschool students, we wouldn't send in preschool students through this contract, it's just.
I speak.
Yes, ma'am, please.
I mean, what happens is that what they are talking about is that when they turn 5, early childhood can no longer serve them. So if they feel that a child still needs special service, they refer them to us, what we call a transition conference. And early childhood tests cannot continue for a school age. So that's what they're talking about when we have to do early childhood testing for the school age when they turn 5. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? All right, so moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. The ayes have it.
The next item on your agenda is the approval of educational epiphany instructional support.
All right, this time I'd like to entertain a motion to approve educational epiphany support.
It's the contract.
Contract.
Yes.
The moved and properly seconded. I'm ready for questions.
Question. Okay, so which fund would this come out of?
ARP ESSER, or some of them could be from our school improvement money as well.
Okay, so with those being federal funds, have we satisfied all of the procurement requirements we need in federal funds?
Yes, and he's a sole source, but I'll make sure we have the sole source letter. When you have a consultant that does that, he's considered a sole source.
Any other questions? Comments, concerns?
But I'll make sure we have it. I don't have the letter right now. Make sure we have the letter.
All right, so we moved and properly seconded. All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it.
The next item on your list is the approval of purchases. It's approval of IK Electric, and it's a network upgrade. Mr. Sims is here. What was in your packet originally? There were 2 pieces of that, and I'm gonna say the second piece didn't get placed in there. It did? Did you get it in there this afternoon? The correction, it is in there. So, Mr. Sims, would you explain this for just a moment, please, what this is?
So basically, since we moved the schools from Jack Road to our wanted to make sure that the network in Pablo Junior High is adequate enough to handle the devices that's gonna be over there. So with this upgrade, we'll make sure that it will be able to handle the devices over on the network.
And so, the total cost was that larger amount, but because of the E-rate reimbursement, we're required to pay 15% of that higher amount. You see that? Is that what it is? So yes, so the total was 178, so our district portion of the 178 would be 27,000.
All right, at this time, I seek a motion to approve the contract from IK Network Solutions. Removing the property second, ready for question?
So what is wrong with the network?
So for years, they only had 200 max, maybe 220, now it's like 8. And that's 800 devices compared to 2. So we have to maximize the network so it can handle those devices.
Well, that device slows it down considerably. Well, it might not even have.
Well, right now, so I had to upgrade.
Okay. Gotcha.
We'll be testing those students online during the state assessment as well, so we have to make sure we do this now so that it doesn't have a problem when we begin our state assessment.
Yeah.
How long will the installation take?
Depending on if we approve it today, once we get the equipment in, it'll be updated before the state test, I should say.
Are there any backlogs on equipment, or, you know, this is?
It's already in stock.
Okay. Any other questions from directors? All right, so move properly seconded. Ready to vote? All in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it.
The next item on your list is approval of curriculum purchases. And so what was not included, which this is my mistake, what was not included in the last board meeting was the coaching and support from 95% group. But it was not included because we were still working with them because there were parts of that contract that was made in the spring of last year by a previous employee that had things in it that we didn't want or need or use. There were certain parts of that, and so we were trying to adjust the contract where we just had the specific coaching days and the training that we did provide. We provided training this summer, and then we wanted to continue after that training to have the coaching days. What I mean by that is the 95% person comes into the district, works with the building principal and the classroom teachers on using that curriculum. It is for K-12, but at the K-5, it is for core instruction and interventions, and from 6 to 12, it's for interventions. It's not in core once they get past that. And so this is the coaching contract that with 95% group to support the curriculum that we have already purchased.
All right, this time I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the 95% group contract. Moved by second, are ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it.
The next item for purchase would be something new that I was excited about that Ms. Rawls brought to my attention, so she might be able to answer some more questions about this. But what I'll say is our teachers are working, utilizing our new, first and foremost, we have our standards, our state standards, but the ELA standards have been updated recently from the state. And so we've been working on creating those pacing guides and identifying priority standards. But the importance of identifying that priority standard is to ensure that the teachers teaching it, how do we know the students learned it? And we're expecting them to create and be able to do common formative assessments. And so a common formative assessment means that a fourth grader at James Matthews is doing the same priority standard as a fourth grader at Southwood and at 34th and at Broadmoor. And so we create a common assessment for those fourth graders across the district to say, are all the students learning the same exact thing? And this is a subscription for the teachers to be able to create these assessments online, and they can be uploaded that way so that we can just automatically have student data once the students take that assessment as well. It's not something that I was familiar with, but Ms. Rawls found out about it, and we did a demo account for a couple weeks to let the teachers utilize it to see if they liked it, if they went through a little bit of a training just to see what they would do with it. And since then, Ms. Rawls was able to speak with the teachers and the principals, and this was something that, I don't know if the principals were involved, but I know the teachers were involved, something that they really did want and wanted to utilize to help create the assessments. And so at that time, this is what, and I know it says, I looked back and it said Jack Roby. That doesn't mean Jack Roby, it means Pine Bluff Junior High. It's just what was named at that time. So this is for Pine Bluff Junior High, Pine Bluff High School, and all 4 elementaries to be able to create this online digital platform for common formative assessments across the district.
All right, at this time I would like to entertain a motion to approve the progress learning quote.
And now I want to know, here's the deal, you have an option to use it for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years. And so we were wanting for 1 year.
Is there a motion to approve the progress learning quote services for 1 year?
So moved.
Moved properly seconded, ready for question? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it.
Okay. And personnel, that's the last item on the agenda. Is this something that you guys would like to go to executive session? There are some personnel additions and changes. However, you have that in your packet, so if you want to take a moment to look at it and then decide.
Any feedback from directors? I don't, unless there's an objection, I don't think we need to go into executive session. Okay. All right, if that's the case, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve, for approval of personnel, which includes the personnel action chart and personnel changes. Move properly second. Is ready for question?
So, on
our maintenance staff they do have physical responsibilities as far as, Mr. Booker Franklin, Ms. Turner, I think they fill out requisitions and work on things like that too, so yes, they would be available for that.
Okay, well, I just.
Okay.
That's what you were working with, the processing of payments and, versus the maintenance scheduling and things like that, which they had also addressed in that, certification.
But if they were to, yes, I agree with you, but our maintenance do deal with fiscal operating responsibilities, so they would fall in that category. Certainly, not a person that is in the district fixing or changing out lights and things like that, but the ones that work in the office, the office of the maintenance director, they would qualify, yes. That's a good question.
Any other questions? All right, all in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Ayes have it. By my count, that brings us to the end of our meeting. I entertain a motion to adjourn. Move to property second. With the question, all in favor say aye. Opposed say no. Thank you all for attending. Appreciate you coming out. Our first board meeting was that good.